Welcome, everyone, to the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast. You can find me across all social media at Barrett Gruber. With me for a second airing in a row, Mr. Bill Kimler, host of the podcast Black, White, and Blue in the South. You can find him across all social media at PoliticalBillSC. If you want to participate in the show, just go to YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or any of the ones that I've told you to do before.
Just stick your head out the window and say, Gruber!
Scream.
Gruber! Got something to share.
I wish more of my neighbors listened to me. That would be fantastic. Maybe. Anyway.
Maybe.
Thanks for listening wherever you're at. So.
Well, happy post-primaries day.
100%. And a happy post-primaries day to you too, Bill. I didn't get you anything.
Oh, no, I've got a glass of wine right here.
Yeah?
Cheers.
So how was your experience with roving? This is not your first time as a rover.
My
correct?
second time as a rover.
Second time.
So a rover is a special type of poll worker where we are assigned a number of different poll locations. So I was in charge of 7 different polling locations, and I go from one to another, roving, and I act as tech support. So if they have a problem with the scanners or the printers or electricity or whatever, they holler at me and I come and fix their problem for them, which basically is turn it off, turn it back on.
Sure. Yeah, but there's legitimate things that happen. I mean, like the ballot marking devices could potentially jam up a ballot, and you got to pull those out. I know that the rover that I have yesterday for my precinct warned me on his second visit to us, because they just go from place to place unless there's an actual issue. Then they go specifically to a place having an issue. But he told me on his second visit walking through that he said, just so you know, this is probably gonna be my last visit because I have 2 precincts that are they are going to need me to assist with their closings. So that's also something that the rovers in Lexington.
Yeah, I would say that the very beginning of the day was chaotic for me because everybody's starting up and getting loaded, and some people keying in passwords don't know that an O with the slash through it means 0.
Right.
So they were typing an O, and the minor technical issues. You've worked help desks before, and you get some of the dumbest issues, and these people are not keyboard warriors, so they're doing their best, and they just need somebody a little more computer savvy to help them through, and that's what we do.
Yeah, and my experience is that nothing of what we handle is too technically advanced. I mean, if we had some system that was attached to the internet, as far as like the counts and things like that, and if that disconnected for some reason, then sure, I could see that would fall under more necessity for a more technical issue. But as far as I'm concerned, if that were something, then the state's going to have to handle that. But we don't. Everything gets tallied up onto very secure encrypted USB.
Yeah. So shall we talk about the results?
Please. Let me just start with telling everybody that I am extremely excited because of the results from last night. State Rep Jermaine Johnson cleared the Democratic primary with roughly 55% of the vote when the AP called the race. Final numbers at 100% reporting showed that he had about 60%. Billy Webster was just under 30%, and Mullins McLeod drank his way through a fifth. No, I'm kidding. 80%.
So what does that tell you? What lessons are to be learned from this gubernatorial race in South Carolina?
The establishment doesn't control the people. But that wasn't what you were looking for, was it?
Well, it's also that song, "Money Can't Buy Me Love."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Billy Webster came in. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he was brought in kind of last minute. And I don't know if he was brought in or if, obviously he wasn't held at gunpoint. So he had some decision making, in this. But he had a lot of money and he did a lot of advertising. I got several flyers from him. I got 0 from Jermaine.
Yeah.
But then again, Jermaine's been to my town 4 or 5 times already. Billy Webster, 0.
Yeah.
And you can't buy those relationships that are forged on the road speaking in front of people. You just can't.
Yeah. And just to remind people outside.
Were you surprised? Oh, I'm sorry. Were you surprised how far apart they were, that it wasn't closer?
Well, so because of you, I have gotten into looking at the poly markets a little bit more than I had before. So
I didn't even think to look at that. What did poly market say?
So initially, about 3 weeks ago, poly market had Jermaine Johnson at about 94% likelihood of winning the nomination.
Okay.
And then it fell about, which is expected, about a week or so before the primaries. It fell to like 66%. So I had, and I don't know why I'm putting any faith in the poly markets, except that they seem to be fairly accurate. I'm not betting on them.
Well, I don't think there was any doubt, maybe a little bit, that Jermaine Johnson was going to win. I felt pretty confident that was going to happen. However, I think the true bet was, would the race have been close enough to force a runoff, meaning Jermaine didn't reach 50%? In which case, I think he would have won the runoff.
Yeah.
Or would he have won it outright? And I think I would have put my money on that there would have been a runoff.
Yeah. I agree with you. I didn't want a runoff because I wanted it to be a mandate. I mean, that's essentially what this is, as far as for the Democratic Party from the primary. It is a mandate that at least the people voting in the Democratic primary yesterday here in South Carolina almost fully wanted Jermaine Johnson to be the nominee to face off against whoever comes out of this Evitt Wilson, what will be a shit show over the next 2 weeks. I mean, absolute. I'm
so glad in my county I don't have a Democratic runoff to worry about. So all the Democrats get to stay home, and the Republicans have to go sort it out with their 3 races. How about in your neck of the woods? I think you have a congressional runoff to attend to.
Yeah, we
do.
In
2 weeks, don't you?
Yeah, in fact, so for House District 2, Zion Khalif got about 34% of the vote. David Robinson II got about 41%. So those two will be heading to a runoff.
How did David Sharif place?
Well, so I'm gonna say his proper name. His name's Daniel.
What did I say?
David.
Did I say David? Sorry.
Yeah.
Daniel Sharif. That's right.
Daniel Sharif. Daniel Sharif.
Sharif
pulled in a respectable 5% of the vote.
How is that possible? It's got to be people just randomly picking names at that point.
So here's always my theory on when people don't know who it is that's running in a campaign or in a primary and that sort of thing, and you have multiple names, they pick the name that is at the top because Daniel Sharif alphabetically appears at the top.
Okay.
I just have to assume that that's how they do it. So almost 3,000 people, and I mean this with all of the respect that is due, 3,000 people were not the intelligent voters that I would have hoped for. And
I had one polling location where husband and wife walk in, and the husband says, give me the Republican, and the wife says, give me the Democratic one, because it's primary, so you have to pick which party.
Right.
And then he looked at her, raised his eyebrow, and she says, oh, never mind, give me the Republican one instead. Like, she walked in there really not knowing which party, who the people are, whatever. She had to take cues from her husband with an eyebrow raised. It was ridiculous. I tell you, I think you ought to take a little quiz before walking in to vote.
I agree.
To show just a little bit of competence before being allowed to vote. My opinion.
As a polling clerk, my disappointment comes when I have to issue provisional ballots for people that have moved into the district or moved and not updated their address. They have updated their address with the DMV here in South Carolina, which they have a license that reflects.
Listen,
the address
I don't think it's out of bounds to think that if I've updated my driver's license, it would change my voter registration. That's perfectly realistic to think. That's legit.
And you're not wrong.
And it should be that way.
But you have seen the videos of the director of the DMV asking the committees to please help us out. We're working on computers that were new in 1994,
Yeah.
And so the failing there, to me, is, again, on the Republican legislature that is continuing to not prioritize the things that actually help people directly. And that was like, I had a woman that asked me, a woman that was standing outside who was there for one of the candidates. She was representing them. And I'll tell you about an incident we had at the actual polling site. But I was just standing there, and she was talking, and she was representing a Republican, and she asked me. She said so because we had already discussed that I was a Democrat, or that I at least am a progressive liberal.
Why would you state that as a poll manager, that you would state what party affiliation you were?
Because she asked me. We were just having a casual conversation. So
I would flag that. I wouldn't make that mistake again. You're supposed to be absolutely neutral.
I wasn't inside the precinct. I was standing outside the precinct.
Okay. I thought you were like at your desk checking them in, telling them you were a Democrat.
No. I was standing out in the heat because the air conditioning in our in our precinct, like, it wasn't on when the day started, but when it was on, it was on. And I tried to pretend like it didn't bother me too much. Like, everybody else was freezing, and I was like, no, this is perfect.
We had a precinct that was outdoors. They were actually in an ambulance garage, and the big cargo doors were both open, but they essentially were outside, exposed to the elements.
Interesting.
And the temperature and the humidity. I mean, yes, it was humid as all hell.
Yes, it was.
There was like no oxygen to be found anywhere. And those poor saps were there from 6 a.m. until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night when they shut down. And they were basically outside.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, she asked me, she asked me the question why I was a progressive or whatever, or a Democrat, and I said, well, I've lived in South Carolina for 26 years. I saw it transition from Governor Hodges into what was then Appalachian Trail guy, and then of course
Sanford.
Yeah, it's not important that we remember any of their names.
So sorry, I retract.
I said I've watched the state continue to legislatively demand that the things that they legislate, or the things that they turn into laws, continue to have a negative impact on the people of the state. They are not doing anything from a Republican side of the bills that are being proposed. Very little is being done to actually have a positive impact on the people of South Carolina. They aren't doing anything with violent crime. They aren't doing anything with hate crimes. All they're doing is trying to limit women and children's ability, or liberties and things like that. They want to eliminate some of the education programs in the state. They want to take abortion away as a medical necessity in South Carolina. So they're constantly attacking the things that they should be trying to embolden to make people's lives better. Medicaid should be expanded, like all of these things. And she just looked at me with her mouth open. She goes, but Jesus doesn't like abortions. I was like, really? You half of the book that your Jesus is building up to is almost a playbook on how to perform abortions. Just so you know. But it's either abortions or murder. So. But I didn't say that to her. I just looked at her and said, sure, whatever. But we did have two candidates we had one candidate there representing himself. He had his sticker on his chest.
Republican or Democrat candidate?
Republican.
Okay.
Republican. Actually, a Republican that I'm friends with. He showed up after his opponent's sister was there, greeting people. Now, the whole time that she was there, that he had not yet arrived, she was basically just sitting in a chair watching people coming in and out. At first, I thought she was just there to count. But then when he showed up and actually started greeting people, I'll get to that. The first thing he did was he came over to me, and he said, Barrett, I just want to let you know, I've got two signs I think that are inside the circle. Can you pull out the map that shows how far away 500 feet is? I pull out the map, and he points to the two signs. And I said, what side of the street are they on? He said, well, they're on the opposite side of the street. And I said, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know the state law is within 500 feet, but that land that they are on, because I didn't see anything that made me think I need to remove these, they are on private property, even though
can't touch it if it's on private property. Right. Can't touch it.
Exactly. So I said, even though it's on the easement, that easement is still private property until the county comes along and says we're expanding this road. And then he says, well, my opponent's sign is within the 500 feet on the side of the road of the school. I said, let me go up and look at it. So I take the map, I walk up there and look. Sure enough, it's about 4 feet inside the line. So I take it, and very kindly, I just put it about 4 feet outside of the line. So all I did was move it. I walked back down. I said, sir, I'm not going to say his name, But I said, sir, I moved. I know I saw your signs. Again, they're across the street. They're on the easement. I can't do anything about that. I can't consider them. As far as I'm concerned, someone asked permission to put them there. And then I turned to the opponent's sister and I said, I did move John's sign about 4 feet outside the line, so I didn't take it down. I just moved it. I said I didn't have to. I could have taken it down, but I did. I did just move it. And she immediately attacked the opponent of her brother's his badge. He said, "Can he be wearing that out here?" And I said, "Well, he's the candidate. He's representing himself." And she said, "Well, can I can wear a badge that says my brother's name on it?" And I said, "Well, you're not your brother. Only the candidates can present themselves outside of the
I don't think that's
places."
true. I think if you were there as a poll watcher on behalf of the candidate, you do need to wear a badge with that candidate's name.
So she wasn't a poll watcher. She was just a visitor. She was a greeter. She wanted to campaign for her brother outside of the polling precinct. She wasn't a watcher.
If she's not there, okay, so she didn't have a letter from the campaign saying
not.
she was a poll watcher.
No.
Then, yeah, she could not wear any number. So you judged correctly.
Yes.
And did you throw her out?
Well, I didn't throw her out. I just told her, I said, he can have a badge. Or he can have that sticker. He's representing himself. If you want to identify who you are by name to people and greet for your brother, that's perfect. That's within the law. And she just turned around and I could tell she was getting angrier. But at that point I was like, I just walked, 500 feet out to the street and 500 feet back in what was, the worst humidity I've experienced, this year so far. And, everything was sweating. There was no gap that didn't have moisture. Right. Okay. So
tell me about what you think about the other positions. So we talked governor a bit. U.S. Senate probably was not a surprise that Annie Andrews won.
It wasn't a surprise. I will say I sincerely like Brandon P. Brown. I think that he is genuinely a fantastic guy. But when you look at what this campaign probably needs, it's money. And Annie Andrews raises money.
Now, I did not see any utilization of that money. No. Personally. Like I didn't get any mailers for Annie.
Nope.
I've seen some online ads, I think, and I've gotten a shit ton of text messages from her campaign. But otherwise, I don't see where the $6-7 million raised went, and maybe she's saving it for Lindsay.
Yeah.
So I don't know that money played that much of a role.
Well, I think. And I
think Brandon was more around the state than Annie was. Annie's
yes.
job keeps her in D.C. and working to an extent, and she's got her kids. So I don't think she was physically as present as Brandon was, but I'm guessing that maybe he just didn't resonate as well as she did when they did travel.
Yeah, I am curious as to what the breakdown, because I haven't looked yet, as to which counties voted for which. And my guess is that Orangeburg probably came in pretty strong for Brandon. South, Charleston, Columbia, Greenville probably came in pretty strong.
I saw a map today that showed a kind of a colored county map that basically demonstrated how unified the party was in their selection. So if the candidate chosen by that county was, outside of a certain percentage, say over 50%, then that county was just painted dark blue. But if it was a mixture, maybe more even between the candidates, then it was painted orange. Every county in the state was blue, except Orangeburg.
Okay.
And it wasn't just, I don't think it was specific to a candidate. I just think it was in general.
Oh, I see.
Given the choices, did the party faithful coalesce behind a single candidate, regardless of position? And for the most part, every county coalesced around one candidate, and Orangeburg was the only one that showed any evenness between candidates. And so I think that I don't think that there was that much. In fact, they showed the Republican version of that, and that map was red and orange all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean, there was no settling of governor, no settling of the other positions, attorney general. There was no unity. So they said that bodes well for Democrats. The Democrats were more unified than the Republicans were, and how many disappointed who's the guy that ran against Lindsey Graham? I forget his name already.
I can tell you here. In
Mark somebody.
Lynch.
Mark Lynch. Yeah. So how many disappointed Lynch voters are going to go, well, I guess I'll vote for Lindsey? No, they voted for Lynch because they freaking hate Lindsey Graham.
Right. Yeah.
There's no unity there. I don't see people who voted for Brandon Brown and Brandon didn't win. I don't see them turning around and going, oh, I hate Andy Andrews with a passion. I'm not going to vote for her. I just don't see that.
No. In fact, I think, and one of the things, some of the drama is, as far as around the Republican governor race, Nancy Mace had finished 5th. And
let's talk about that for a second. Were you surprised by that, how low she fell? She was literally in last place the active candidates.
This is a woman that did not campaign. I mean, you talk about Annie Andrews not campaigning. She did not campaign. I think what she was expecting was the fact that she was the Trump sweetheart for so long until she finally, I don't know what exactly happened in her head. Maybe she had a Fetterman stroke, but at some point she turned and she said, I am absolutely going to go and try and get these victims of the Epstein debacle, the Epstein tragedy, some sort of recognition. And in that, she severed her relationship with Trump. And to my delight, he apparently remembered that.
None of the other candidates that were 2, 3, and 4 got the Trump endorsement either. So I'm not going to say that. And Trump never came out and called Nancy Mace a rhino or anything. So she got as much Trump attention as all the other candidates did, except for Evett, who got the nod.
Yeah.
She literally, I think, legitimately was the leading candidate at some point early on.
She was.
And really, I just think her rhetoric online, the way she viciously attacked her opponents, the way she attacked trans and Muslim individuals was despicable. I think people just, the way that she attacked the cops at the Charleston airport.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any coming back from that.
I think it also had a lot to do, I think as far as her approach to campaigning, I think that she assumed that she was going to get some sort of sympathy vote from people because everyone else that was running had attack ads against her.
Sympathy for what?
The fact that she was taking so much heat from the other Republican candidate. I wasn't in the room. I don't know exactly what the thought process was behind her campaign. I just felt like she wasn't campaigning. I just feel like she didn't make a show. We know she wasn't working in Washington because the Republicans have been out on break so often.
And they shut down for months and
plenty of time for them to work and campaign. But I don't know. Ron Reedy, I saw his remarks. He said he wasn't going to endorse either Evett or Wilson.
I'll tell you what, if I had a gun to my head and had to pick one of those names for the Republican nod, I would have picked Ron Reedy.
Yeah, I would have too.
And I'll tell you for one thing. I mean, I heard him interviewed. He sounded the most rational and the least partisan of the group.
Agreed.
He didn't spend a single breath talking about how Democrats or liberals are crazy and communist and hate America. Not once. He really just talked about issues. He talked about problems and government overreach and corruption. But I tell you, the best answer that actually got me liking him a little bit, they asked him about abortion. And he says, look, my opinion is not important. He says, if this is such a big deal, I say, let's stop wasting legislators' time on this. They shouldn't be making this decision anyway. Let's put it as a referendum on the ballot. Let the people decide and let that be the end of it.
Yeah.
And I went, well, hell, that's a rational answer to that question. Let's do it.
So gun to your head, who would you pick between Evett and Wilson?
Oh, gun to my head, I think I'm going to let the guy shoot me in the head.
I would take the bullet.
I think that would be the end of old Kimler here. I don't know.
I would definitely take the bullet. That's just, I don't know. I think it's a gift. I think
I think if I had to pick, if me ending my life wasn't an option, I'd probably have to pick Wilson. I think Evett is too desperate. She just sounds too desperate. And that whole woke mob at South Carolina State, that just rubbed me the wrong way. And
and at least with Alan Wilson, you know what you're getting. I mean, he's been in office for 16 years or whatever. The rumors about the corruption behind Alan Wilson have been pretty blatant for years. So, I think that and Alan Wilson does exactly what Alan Wilson does, and he just kind of skates by. So, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a gift. Evett's the Trump puppet. Wilson is the establishment pick, and now Mace's people are backing him because she endorsed him. Evett's.
Well, that's going to be a shit. These next 2 weeks, buckle up.
Oh yeah,
because they're going to go after each other like nobody's business. I don't know if it started today. I think I saw Evitt attack Alan Wilson already.
It started last night. Evitt called him a radical corporate donor who just spews DEI, and I'm like, I have never seen Alan Wilson say anything in favor of DEI.
The only way you counter that is Wilson say Pam Evitt had 52 abortions. Like they should just start slinging crap at each other, just completely made up, and see what sticks.
Sylvia
How
Wright
about
did
Superintendent of Education?
We're on the same wavelength. Sylvia Wright won the Democratic primary for South Carolina of Education after an early commanding lead. I think she was up over the 50% pretty early on. I will say, as much as I like Lisa Ellis, and I absolutely do, I think she is a fantastic human being. I think that ultimately though, she disappeared for 4 years after she lost.
Well, the question is, why did she not return to the All About Nothing podcast for her campaign? Why did she stay away from you, huh?
I didn't reach out.
I see.
I have what I like to call candidate. I needed a break from talking to so many candidates. Is the truth. There's nothing wrong with them. I call some of them friends, but like I just needed a break. We've got like 50 lined up as soon as we get back from break. There's going to be nothing but. And I was like, and they all want to come on our show as if that, I don't know. Hey, I'll tell you another thing that I think our show helped influence, and this was the shocking news of the night. Out of Lawrence County State House race, incumbent Republican House rep for District, oh gosh, I'm going to get the number wrong. 4, I think, whatever it is in Lawrence County. Yeah.
Luke Rankin.
Oh, yeah.
He was the one that wrote the letter to try to get that professor from Presbyterian College fired because she wrote an article about Charlie Kirk, and he and 4 other lawmakers wrote an article wrote a letter to Presbyterian College threatening to remove state funding if they did not deal with her.
Right.
They didn't deal with her. She actually resigned rather than let student scholarship funds get affected.
Yeah.
And then she turned around and sued them, for First Amendment violations. And he had gone on Facebook Live, and Christmas Day, he's out there celebrating her resignation. He says, "We got breaking news, the best news, early Christmas present. This professor has resigned. Life is wonderful." Anyhow, he had a primary challenger and he lost. That means he's lost his job just after 2 years as a state house rep. He got booted out. I'm sitting there texting with this professor, and we're just both gleeful. I told her she should go on Facebook Live and beat for beat do the same speech he gave about her. And just
read it.
Just flip the story
word for word. Read it word for word.
Just change the name and the title and give that same speech on a Facebook Live. Early Christmas, and he's gone. And thank God. Oh, that was the best. And he is such a he was the one that was the primary sponsor of the White House redistricting map.
Yeah.
Like he was the one that led the charge.
Yep.
And now he's out. He's out by his own party voted him out. Gone.
He removed himself by his own petard.
He's definitely petarded.
No, I think some of the things that happen in the state, and again, I think Sylvia Wright is a fantastic candidate because one, she has all of the experience necessary to be superintendent. She already has a master's degree that isn't going to be gifted to her by a local university here in the state of South Carolina. Is it a university? Can it be called a university? If anyway, regardless, I don't want to put down anybody that went there.
I got to give credit to Lisa Ellis. She posted a very classy concession on Facebook and wished her the best. Says that Sylvia has her full support, and I just thought that was the most gracious thing ever. So kudos to her.
Yeah, and that's something that I think that will come from several of the Democrats that were running against
Did
other
we?
Democrats in the
I don't
primary.
think we're going to get Mullins-McLeod with any gracious resignation or gracious concession.
No, because honestly, I think he's going to wind up endorsing.
Did we hear
Alan
from him at
Wilson.
all? I haven't
No,
seen any
I
quote
haven't
from
seen
him.
anything. I didn't know if there were. I didn't know that there.
I saw
even
Billy
there was a
Webster
watch party.
post. He posted a gracious concession, but Mullins, I don't think said a peep.
Yeah, what I need Billy Webster to do is commit half of the money that he was going to spend on himself to the rest of the Democrats here in the state of South Carolina. That's what I would like. I'm not saying he has to. I'm saying that if he wants to show a commitment to the state of South Carolina and wants us to embrace him politically, that
it would be nice.
$5 million across the state is a lot, you know.
Another item of note, treasurer race. A guy named Vincent Coe versus former state chair Trav Robertson. And I'm surprised that, and I like Bruce. He was my pick. I voted for him. I thought he was the most qualified, but he pulled it out, and Trav, by a significant margin too, and Trav did not.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Trav actually might have been the better qualified of the two candidates. And I didn't realize it until later, because I saw them both speak. They both came to Greenwood at the fish fry. They both gave their speech. But did you know Trav actually served as the deputy treasury secretary before he was party chair?
I didn't know that, but
I didn't know that.
My expectations on what a state treasurer does and what they're responsible for and their ethics and things like that has really, the bar has been lowered a lot here in South
fact that there
Carolina.
wasn't a single Republican who went after Curtis Loftus. He is unchallenged. How they could not field a single candidate to go against him in the Republican primary is an absolute indictment on where the Republican Party is.
A man.
This is the guy that. Yeah, you go ahead.
Curtis Loftus, a man that has Curtis Loftus, the worst. A man that has no less than 4 dozen times has had his own party consider or own party members of his own party publicly state that they believed that he should be impeached from his office. Like this, I mean, it's our own Ken Paxton, basically, out of Texas. Except Ken Paxton did get impeached. But it's insane to me that no one ran against him. And again, how much does the treasurer make? What's their salary?
I think it's the highest paid of all the officials, to be honest. It's nuts.
Like, and again, I did not see one single Curtis Loftus actual campaign commercial or radio ad. I only saw him promoting the college fund or promoting.
No, I saw him. He got involved recently, but only in the attorney general's race. So he was actively campaigning against Senator Stephen Goldfinch, who was the leading candidate for attorney general, because Goldfinch was after him like a bloodhound.
Well, I mean,
so he said. So Curtis Loftus was like encouraging people to vote for Stumbo or Pascoe, anybody but Goldfinch.
But I'm saying Curtis Loftus doesn't campaign for himself. He doesn't spend money on himself because he has the power of the South Carolina Treasury to put his name and his face and his signature on literally everything that comes out as far as like the programs that the state of South Carolina has towards child education accounts and things like that. He has the ability to spend our money to campaign for himself without actually campaigning. And it's absurd to me. And I'm hoping that down ballot, that everyone, that enough people turn out and vote for Jermaine. And then those down ballot vote. This is the one year I'm going to advocate for people just to pull the party line for Democrat and just.
One observation that I'm going to make is that the turnout for Democrats in this primary was through the freaking roof.
Yeah, absolutely was.
And this is what happens. Like they were saying before this even began, this is what happens when you actually have people file for office and it is competitive. Yeah. People get a lot more interested. So rewind back to 4 years. This was the Joe Cunningham race.
Yeah.
And the primary, all I had on my ballot, I think, was there was a primary for U.S. Senate with Crystal Matthews and Catherine Fleming Bruce and somebody else maybe. And then there was a primary for U.S. Congress. That really was it. And it was a dull choice. It wasn't competitive. Actually, I think the governor. I think there was Mia McLeod and Joe Cunningham. But not all the positions were challenged. Like there wasn't anybody who filed on the Democratic side for treasurer.
Yeah.
There was nobody on the Democratic side who filed to run for comptroller general. But the fact now that we actually had every role filled with candidates, sometimes more than one candidate, most of the time more than one candidate, drove interest in the Democratic Party.
Well, yeah,
and I also think the redistricting, that was a huge fumble by the Republicans because that did get a lot of us interested to go out and vote.
Well, and as well, I think the power of knowing who and relative to the candidates, a lot of the people that are running, their neighbors, their families turned out to vote for them.
So for every candidate who files, you're saying that drives out the vote that much more because they have their own network to support them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you got to have it. I think it was wonderful. It was a very refreshing sign of democracy in this day and age where the leadership that's in charge are doing everything they can to stamp it out. It showed that democracy flared right up and said, no effing way.
Yeah, I am excited about it. I'm trying to think of any other races that I thought were pretty.
Well, listen, I'm not going to be here again next week or after. You're on your own. So give me a prediction in the runoff on the Republican side. Who's going to be the Republican nominee for governor? Will it be Alan Wilson or will it be Pamela Evett?
It's going to be Pamela. It's going to be Pamela Evett. It's going to be.
I'm going to predict Alan Wilson.
Okay. I'll take that.
I think he's going to surge, and I think she's going to fumble. I think they will all coalesce around Alan Wilson.
Okay. That, you know what, and I could certainly see that. Again, my head goes to, well, you know what, my head when it comes to the alphabet, Alan Wilson will sit on top of Pamela Evett. Yeah. I think it's entirely possible. You're right. I don't
Attorney General David Stumbo or Stephen Goldfinch.
Oh, that's a really good one. I mean, if I'm looking at it realistically, I really want it to be, oh God. I think I would probably prefer, you're asking me who I think is going to win.
Correct. Then you can tell me who you prefer, but tell me who you think is going to be the
I think it's going to be Stumbo.
I think it's going to be Goldfinch.
Okay.
And I want it to be Goldfinch.
Yeah.
But I think Stumbo he's here from Greenwood. He's local to my town, so we all know him here. He's a solicitor here in Greenwood. And he's got some skeletons in his closet that are going to come popping out when Goldfinch fires on all cylinders. And Goldfinch has a reputation. He's also in a more populated area of the state, so he's known where the people are. I think Stumbo had a good showing, but then again, he was running against Pasco, a former Democrat, so that's not much of a challenge.
No, Pasco out of Rock Hill area, right? Isn't that where he's from?
I thought he was from Charleston.
Maybe. Okay. It doesn't. You know what? It really doesn't matter.
But I think Goldfinch will pull that out. And then there's a nasty, super competitive race for Commissioner of Agriculture. Oh wow, they're throwing corn husks at each other. And
Danny Ford and Cody Simpson. Who are you thinking?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know who either of them are. I looked at the pictures of the two of them side by side. I thought I was looking at Beavis and Butthead. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to pick.
They could not have. I mean, they could have had a tighter race. It could have been exactly even, but 38%. Like that's
put the corn in cornbread. Let me tell you.
Ultimately, if I was going to have to go, I'd probably say Cody Simpson, only because doesn't Cody sound like a guy that works on a tractor?
I don't know.
Danny Ford, but
Deshaun Blanding for me. I've met the guy a couple of times. I like him a lot.
I agree.
Hey, you've got some news you wanted to share, no? Or is that for another episode?
No, I will do that with you now. So for several months, almost probably since I guess August of last year, Katrina Shealy has been I almost heard a gasp. Katrina Shealy I have been trying to work with Katrina Shealy to get her to come onto an episode, and first of all, it's not that she doesn't want to. She has expressed that she absolutely wants to. What the issue is that she is extremely busy, whether she's being an activist or she's participating politically, or she's writing her Facebook posts that are essentially some of the best blog readings that I've done in years. She is incredibly busy. After the primary results last night, she sent me a text message and she said, and I will just, and this is something we had been talking about. She said, "Hey, I'm ready to do the podcast." And that's not her coming on my show. Big Media LLC is going to be distributing a Katrina Shealy podcast, probably starting within the next month.
Wow, a solo podcast at
Yeah.
the Katrina Shealy Show.
She will have guests. She will give her thoughts and insights.
Well,
on
that's
things.
actually disappointing.
Oh, why you were hoping she was going to come? She'll come on the show. I mean,
No. You've misinterpreted me. It's disappointing because that's not the type of commitment that a future lieutenant governor candidate would be making.
I understand that, but I have not broached that subject with her.
Right. But I'm just thinking, if she's going to commit to doing a podcast, and I know this from experience, if she was going to be lieutenant governor, she's going to be all over the state campaigning and stumping. And
sure,
maybe she'll do 2 episodes and then quit like most podcasters do. But maybe she'll stick with it and do that and instead of running for lieutenant governor. But
yeah,
and maybe I'm just overreaching in my suppositions. We'll see.
I will say this. I think that Katrina Shealy as the lieutenant governor for Jermaine would be phenomenal. I think that is a part that I think that is a ticket that will get a lot of people on both sides of the aisle excited. I think that it'll also turn away some Democrats. I think it will turn away, but it may turn away some Republicans from whatever Pamela Ebbett or Alan Wilson has.
If it turns away 5 Democrats but attracts 10 Republicans, would you do it?
It's an offset. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that is an efficient transition of energy.
And I think between the two of them, they will focus on issues that actually matter. They won't be pursuing 10 commandments on the walls or yet another abortion bill. Or
she'll know how many districts there are in South Carolina. She'll know how many House members there are.
She won't be trying to redistrict the congressman out. She won't be doing any of that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, when's this start, man? When do I tune in?
So we are still in the process of trying to decide on a name. We want to make sure that it is a podcast that
the Katrina Shealy Shit Show. There's the name right there.
I'm not going to give you. I have a list of names. She likes 2 of the ones that I've given her, but she's going out of town this week, and I've told her that to think about those 2 names, but also consider potentially others.
What did you give her? Black, white, and blue in the South as a potential name?
I'm not saying I didn't change your password, but
well, that's cool news, man. That's something that is very exciting. I'm glad you divulged that here on this episode. That's for those of you who are listening. That is a treat that probably should have opened the show.
No, we made people stick around.
They didn't know you were making that announcement.
That's true. I didn't tease that, did I?
No, you did not. But you're new at broadcasting, so one day you'll learn about the teasers.
I'm a professional at non-professionalism, so
yeah.
Let me.
Well, that's a good get. Good for you, man. That's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, Bill, get some rest. I will absolutely keep you and everyone else in the know as far as when we get our first recording. We're going to do it at her house on her porch, where she also writes her blogs from. So
get her mic'd up good, please. There's nothing worse than an outdoor on the porch podcast where it's like, I'll just hold a microphone 10 feet away from everybody and you're just hearing the sounds of the air and the noises from the road. Those are the worst.
Real quick, just to before we wrap up the program, I did get a comment says from Roy the Snake, says, I'm about as hardcore left as it gets. I would absolutely support Shealy as lieutenant governor. So
good. That's a rational human being.
Thank you, Roy, for throwing that in there. Really,
that's one vote.
That is.
That's why that's probably the one vote needed to push him over the edge.
Again, very excited about the potential but I don't have any inside information of whether or not Jermaine is actually considering Katrina Shealy as a lieutenant governor. But I honestly, because as well as I think of Jermaine, I think that whoever it is that he picks isn't just going to be a pick to try and pull in more voters. It's going to be a pick because of their experience and their the level of
every pick is considering if it can pull in more voters.
That's true.
Every.
Dang it!
Every pick is going to consider that.
Last.
I heard it was going to be Jessica is going to be like up for his pick.
She's not on to make a comment.
She's
about
not?
that. No.
Oh.
Oh, Roy the Snake is Daniel Duncan. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that.
Hey. Oh, Daniel Duncan's definitely not up for consideration. Jermaine told me he couldn't tell me who it was, but he did say it's definitely not that Daniel guy from Lawrence. Definitely not him. He did say that.
I can also admit
no hurt feelings.
I am not up for lieutenant governor. So, and my feelings aren't hurt. I hope that I will just be a productive member of the Jermaine Johnson campaign.
Well, I tell you, the biggest laugh Jermaine ever gave was when I semi-kiddingly suggested that I was in consideration, and he guffawed louder than anybody I've ever heard guffaw. I got to tell you, Jermaine, if you're listening to this, that hurt my feelings a little bit. You didn't even for a microsecond say, you know what, that Kimler, he's educated, he's got 2 master's degrees, he's got political experience, he's entertaining as all hell, and he's white because you got to balance it, right? We got all the bases covered. And I would be like reverse DEI. I would be the DEI candidate.
Do we have to balance it?
Yeah. So if it's not Katrina Shealy, I need, before we call quits to this, I need 3 possible names that Jermaine could pick from.
Oh.
I think you and I both mentioned maybe Heather Bauer early on.
Yeah. Well, but I when we had Heather Bauer on, I asked her if that was in the consideration, and the pause and the silence that she gave for that good half a second and the look on her face was enough to at least make me think it's possible, right?
Right.
So that was that. So I still think Heather Bauer could potentially be in the running. Gosh. Powell, what was her name out of Charleston that ran with Cunningham as his lieutenant governor?
No, the Air Force lady.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember her name. And she's no. Again, I want somebody who's been involved. I don't want a no name that's been quiet for the last 4 years. I need somebody who's been active.
Upson? Or would you potentially tap a Brandon P. Brown?
Oh, there's an idea. What if he tapped Billy Webster?
I wouldn't be opposed to a Billy Webster being tapped for
Billy Webster. Governor. I mean, you got him for the money.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it would be just for the money, but the guy does have experience, and he's not a terribly unqualified candidate like Mullins McLeod was. But if he said Billy Webster, I would not be. Well, there would be a lot of people who are still really, really upset with his pay loan industry history. It bothers me. That could be a deal breaker for quite a few people.
I can honestly say that his involvement in the payday loan industry is something that still bothers me because his claim that he did not know, he denied any knowledge of what the payday loan system was doing to people or what the actual intent of it was, is something that I can't wrap my head around, because you don't put that much money into creating something and then putting it outside of military Fort. You don't have 3 of them outside Fort Jackson, and you don't have 4 of them outside of McIntyre and Shaw. Like, you don't do those things and put them in specific locations without the knowledge of what the intention of them are, because they're there to make money. But how much they intentionally hurt people. And I've acknowledged it before. There was a time when I was on my knees and I had to go to a payday loan just to get groceries or just to get gas. And it took me 4 months, even though I was getting regular paychecks. It took me 4 months to get out from under it. And in that time, that $400 loan that I took cost me probably about $1,200. So
to be honest, there's no difference between that and student loans. No. It operates under the same principle. I mean,
exactly.
It's not like a mortgage.
Exactly.
These truly inflationary interest rates, criminal.
But
we got to cut this off. I could talk to you forever.
I'll just say, to wrap it up, that if Billy Webster were to do what Andy Pettit did and just say, "Hey, I wanted to keep playing," if he just admitted, "Yeah, I wanted to make money," that would be at least enough of an acknowledgement for me. So, all right, on that terrible, terrible bombshell news, I guess we'll wrap it up. since Bill and I are not going to be lieutenant governors. Big thanks to everybody watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can follow Bill at PoliticalBillSC. You can follow me at Barrett Gruber all over social media. Thank you for liking and hitting that bell. And if you can, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment. Until next time, stay safe, be kind. And Bill, please keep
your hands on the ballot.
There you go. That's good.
Go and vote.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, we went.